First of all, I'd just like to say this is really cool.
Look, can we just talk about something else, please?
Since it's already quiet, I guess we might as well start the team meeting.
Greetings to you wherever you're listening or watching. This is episode 3 of the Little Big Fantasy League podcast. And alluding to the great Elvis Presley, welcome to our world. Last week's episode was a reflection on the Tokyo series, a blockbuster trade in our fantasy league, and our league's rookie eligibility stash draft. Now, I must say, I think my favorite part of last week's episode was having the league commissioner, John, join us as our first special guest. He had a lot of solid takes, and quite honestly, fellas, I think he wants to join us weekly.
I think he does. I think he had a good time, and always welcome to have on the commissioner.
So no special guest, obviously, in this week's episode. Pretty disappointing that nobody wanted to drop a comment in the video and be a special guest, but we do want to shout out Tom for dropping one comment in each of our first 2 videos. Big shout out there, and thanks for being our #1 listener.
Thank you, sir.
So for this week's episode, our focus shifts. It's MLB's opening weekend that we're going to be talking about. We'll chat about some of our players on our fantasy teams that are standing out early and among the league as well. And we'll also chat about a couple players that might be candidates to win Comeback Player of the Year. But be sure to stay tuned for JD's special feature segment, Hawking's Stat of the Week. I heard there might be multiple stats that JD is dropping in his first segment. So let's get right into some opening weekend here. So opening weekend officially kicked off on Thursday, kind of before the weekend, really, on March 27th, a 14-game slate, a lot of solid matchups. I think we've got to start, fellas, with the Yankees bats. Are they torpedoes? Are they bowling pins? I don't know, but the Yankees are out here like making waves and setting records, and I don't know if I've quite seen anything like it.
It's definitely something interesting that we really haven't seen too much, especially in recent years. I know the MLB has guidelines on what the restrictions for bats are, and I believe a representative from Major League Baseball came out and said that as of now, there is no problems with them, but that could be subject to change depending on if they decide the rules are being bent.
So from what I've seen, it's not every single player using these torpedo bats, but from what I've seen as well, the Yankees aren't necessarily the first team to try these out. It sounds like there are other teams, according to Gary Phillips on X. He has now counted the Rays, Blue Jays, Red Sox, Braves, and Cubs among teams with players who have at least tried or are willing to try torpedo bats. And he says he probably missed some others too, tagging a photo of Junior Caminero using a torpedo bat. So I don't think it's just the Yankees here, which is pretty interesting.
I have seen that as well. I saw a post on Instagram with a few different players that are non-Yankees using those bats. So just to name them off, like you had mentioned, Junior Caminero is one of them. Nico Horner I saw, Ryan Jeffers of the Twins, Yandy Diaz of the Rays, and even Adley Rutschman of the Orioles.
Really? And is Adley using it this season then?
I don't know. The picture, I couldn't tell if it was a this year picture, but he does have a home run this year already, maybe 2.
Multiple. Yep.
Yeah.
It's looking like early on, John might be the winner of that Blockbuster trade
that
we talked
like
about
that.
in last week's episode.
I wonder why that's why Carter didn't make it today. I don't know.
That's why Carter had to sit out. He's woeing too hard over that trade. Although Langford, I believe, had a home run yesterday.
Yeah,
so.
He did.
He's
right.
He's not doing too bad either. Yeah.
No.
Sounds like Real Muto is day to day. Not sure what that injury is. So, some of that age may be showing early on. But back to the whole Yankees bats thing. So this came out of Sports Center. The most home runs through 3 games in MLB history. The Yankees tied the 2006 Detroit Tigers with 15.
I did see that. I saw a graphic that they had put up,
Pretty good.
and
I did see that as well. Yeah.
it was of Maglio, Carlos Guillen, and our good old third baseman, Brandon Inch.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty groundbreaking, I would say, even though, as we've
Yeah.
talked about, this isn't like something that's absolutely new, but like it's really just coming to the surface for the first time. Now, the supposed mastermind behind all of this is a fella named Aaron Leonhardt, who earned a PhD from MIT. He worked for NASA. He was a physics professor at the University of Michigan, then left to pursue baseball. And it sounds like he is also a coach for the Yankees from what I've seen now. So kind of going from brains to athletics and sort of intertwining the two.
I know he's not with the Yankees anymore. He's with the Marlins now. And I think he started with them in like 2018. Was trying to get the bats and like recommending this to them, and that it was never like something like they obviously didn't force it on the players, but like just this past season, like a few of them decided to take it. So I think what was it, Jazz, Volpe, and a couple other guys. And honestly, I don't know if it's just the Yankees or if it's maybe the Brewers because the Brewers just got knocked around by the Royals today. So maybe it's the Brewers. I don't know, but it's probably a combination of things. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be interested to see like what other teams, how many other players adopt this and try this, because it seems to be working. And yeah, I thought it was funny seeing just the league and a lot of fans getting pissed at the Yankees doing so well, and like the initial reaction was, "Oh, here we go, the Yankees are cheating" and stuff like that, which I didn't really know about it until kind of looking into it more. But I mean, it seems legit enough so far. So, I mean, it's just kind of like another development, and we'll see how far um, MLB will let them take this, I guess. Um,
Yeah, I think there are a lot of, like you had touched upon, harsh reactions right off the gate from, like you said, everybody assuming the Yankees are cheating and how are they hitting this many home runs? And I mean, so far, if the league doesn't have a problem with it, they found out how to do something better than the rest of the league at this point. Why not let them do it if it's not
yeah,
breaking rules?
Man, not
it's
everybody's
just
using
another
it.
development, I guess.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And not everybody's using it too. So there probably still needs to be some more research done to see is this something that is, sustainable? From what I saw as well, and I don't know if this was a rumor, but John Carlos Stanton supposedly was using this bat, and
Mm,
somebody was blaming his injuries on it, which I don't know if there's any
mm,
validity to that, but um, let's move on to the former Yankee
ripple, yeah.
himself, Juan Soto, making his Mets debut. Juan Soto is on JD's team. JD, if I'm not mistaken, he was your first round pick in the original draft.
Hmm.
Was he first overall pick as well?
Second.
Second overall pick. Does anybody remember who went number one in our league?
Acuna.
Mm,
Acuna to Kyle.
yeah, I think
Okay.
that sounds right. Yeah.
So Soto making his Mets debut. Let's go game one first. Josh Hader, it's the ninth inning, and Hader versus Soto. Chance to chance to do something there in the ninth. Hader gets the strikeout.
Yeah, Hater Dustin, I made him look foolish. I think Josh Hader has
Mhm.
one of the nastiest wipeout sliders in the MLB right now. I think that's a really tough matchup for Soto, as good of a player as he is. Lefty, lefty. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, nobody can compare to Andy Ibanez off Hader last year in the The playoffs, I mean, nobody. He's the lefty killer, Andy Ibanez. So I think Soto, if he had that pitch back, you know, he'd let it go by. But in the moment, it's tough to lay off that. You wanna help your team as much as you can, and you think you can do something with the pitch, and it just sails away from you.
1 for 3 in the game, had a couple of walks. It really was a fine series for Juan Soto overall. The Mets only got one win, which was in game 2, where Soto hit his first Mets home run, which was definitely nice to see. So, I don't think the uniform change as we've seen for Soto is really not a big deal. He's been with several big league clubs now, starting with the Nats, going to the Padres, from the Yanks, crosstown to Queens. Doesn't really seem to phase Juan Soto. Like, this guy is honestly just on a whole nother level. He's got the swag, he's got the Soto shuffle.
Yeah, I think him being on
Hmm.
the Yankees first helps him out because you're playing for New York, you're playing for the Yankees, one of the biggest markets in baseball. To then go to the Mets, who are also in New York, one of the biggest markets in baseball. I think it helped him last year, being able to perform under that pressure. Now going forward with the Mets, he's still got that pressure, and I think he's going to turn out to have a great year with them, and the rest of quite possibly his career with them.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about so going this one little wrinkle with the Mets. Did you guys see their Mark Vientos little celebration there?
Oh, I believe I did. I believe I did see that.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, uh, it's tough to do.
Yeah, maybe not. Just you go look it up.
I can only imagine. I did not see it myself, but I
Yeah.
did see a gesture that Max Scherzer made while warming up in the bullpen, and I assume it could be something on along those lines.
I did not see that one. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either.
Yeah, these are going to be ones that we're just going to have to look up after this podcast episode is over. But any other matchups or events that stood out for you guys on opening weekend?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, the Dodgers Tigers went down. A couple close games there. The Margot play at the plate. Roki Sasaki struggling. Um, there's more questions there too, but yeah, those were pretty interesting, even though the Tigers lost. But I actually have a good stat just to preview the stat of the week,
Yeah,
but
let's hear it.
breaking that down, um, the Tigers had 25 hits, 15 walks, and 12 runs, and the Dodgers had 22 hits and 6 walks and 20 runs. And so the Tigers went 4 for 32 with runners in scoring position, while the Dodgers went 6 for 15. And the Tigers hit 3 home runs and the Dodgers hit 9 home runs. So I feel like that was kind of the difference
Yeah,
in
for
uh
sure.
in that series. Yeah, any thoughts on those guys?
I mean, the long ball for the Dodgers was there. It's the hitting in the clutch too. Like our
Mhm.
college coach always used to say, you got to do 3 things to win a baseball game. You got to hit in the clutch, you got to make the routine plays, and you got to throw strikes. And it's just the basic fundamentals of baseball. And when you got a team like the Dodgers, you're going up against an entire lineup of superstars, probably the best bullpen in the game, and a starting rotation that has a ton of depth despite a couple of injuries. Pretty much everything has to go right. And looking at game 2, for instance, when the Tigers were able to score 2 in the 10th, it seemed like that was the one for them to take. And they end up blowing it. Brisky did not look good. And just reflecting back on all 3 games as a whole, too many mistake pitches. I mean, yeah, it is. It's one thing to throw strikes, but guys just not hitting the spots that they're intending to, leaving off-speed pitches over the heart of the plate. And you can't make those types of mistakes when you got guys like Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts in the lineup. There's no room for error.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I couldn't agree more. The one thing that I think is the Tigers, in my opinion, won game two. Margot was safe at the plate. The call got overturned. And quite honestly, I don't see it any other way. I don't think there was enough conclusive evidence to overturn that. I think it was an extremely close play, and I don't see how that situation you can make that call and overturn it. I don't think I'm being biased here by saying the whole point of the review system is it has to be clear evidence that to overturn a play. If they make a call in the field, there has to be 100% sure to overturn that play. And I don't think that was. I think it was 50-50, but I don't think if you're 100-0 that you overturn that call. Could just be me. But talking about how good the Dodgers lineup is, there was not one batter in that lineup that the Tigers could afford to take off. They have such a deep, good lineup, and everybody has that potential to hit a home run that it doesn't matter. You can't make any mistakes. And I think the Tigers, I mean, Scooble had a mistake pitch. Flaherty had a mistake pitch. Olson had mistake pitches. Our bullpen had mistake pitches. You can't have it. You might be able to get away with one. You can't get away with as many as the Tigers tried to get away with. That lineup is too good. So I think it's a positive outlook for the Tigers, but at the same time, it's tough getting swept in the first series of the year.
I'm with you on that, but I'm gonna have to disagree about the call at the plate. I saw about four angles. All the replays that you see on X that I've seen are Tigers fans saying there's no way they could overturn this, but watching the FanDuel Sports Network feed live, they finally brought up an angle where I was like, I truly think that they got him. I think they had him at the plate. It was unfortunate. It was a really good relay play for Los Angeles. Just one of those quick live time calls, which I think that, it could have gone both ways, but I think that he did get him on the leg or the foot before he touched home plate.
That's fair, and it was a phenomenal relay play by the Dodgers. I mean, getting it in from right field and then Edman, I believe, throwing an absolute bullet. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It was a phenomenal play at the plate. I just think that it was the wrong call. But again, it is what it is. Game's over. You move on.
Yeah. I think also just going over a few other series, like the Cardinals swept the Twins. Um, we got what else?
Braves
Padres
got
over the
swept by the
Braves.
Padres. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty unexpected. Padres are looking good. Tatis is kind of carrying that lineup early on. The Marlins with three
over the
walk-off
Pirates.
wins in
Three
a row. The
walk-offs.
Pirates just seem to be doing everything wrong. Like
Yeah.
they could not catch a break. Bednar looks shaky. That last
Mm.
walk off ending in that wild pitch. That was pretty cool to see Jeff Conine get
Yeah.
retired as the first member of the Marlins Hall of in the Marlins Hall of
Did you
Fame, and
see
then his
his
son
son?
hit a home
Yeah.
run. Yeah,
Did you
the
wait?
same
Did you
game.
see his robbery though?
Oh yeah, that was probably catch of the
Yeah,
year so
that was sweet
far.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So shout out to him for that.
Griffin Conine.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Orioles Blue Jays, that was interesting. It was like Orioles had some good offense, but then they ended up splitting the series. Guardians Royals, that was pretty close. You had Clase blow the save first game, and he even threw at India too, and
Oh
that's a
my
little
gosh.
catchy. So
He had thrown multiple at his chin during that at bat, and then he hits him in the ear flap, and it's like I'm not a big Class A fan myself, obviously, with the Tigers having to face him all the time, and I'm not a huge fan of players that have been suspended before for violating the performance enhancing drug rules of Major League Baseball, and Class A is
shout out
also
Jerickson Profar.
one of them. But yeah, yeah, there you go. Jerickson Profar did
Yeah,
himself in today as we're recording this live on March 31st. Yeah, that was recent news as of
a
like
couple
about a
hours
half
ago.
hour
Yeah,
ago or so. Yeah. That's a blow to the lineup. I mean, they've got depth, but you expect a guy like Profar to come over and contribute, and he's already putting himself out. So that's
Mhm.
unfortunate.
And then shout out to Dansby. He had a cool high IQ play to end the game against
Yeah,
the D-backs. That was pretty cool. Eugenio Suarez got 4 home runs. Um, the White Sox won a game on opening day for the first time since, or like their first win of the season since like 2014 or something crazy like that.
it was the most shocking thing to
Um,
happen.
I know.
Seeing the White Sox
Hey,
get that win, I
road
was
to
like,
60, road to 60, baby. They're getting there. They're gonna.
man, I never thought I'd be jealous of the White Sox getting a win, but fuck, it hurt.
How
Yeah, they
about
got two
two?
already.
Yeah, how about two?
Yeah,
Golly. Yeah,
I think we
Tigers and
play them later
Twins.
this week.
Yeah, we open against them at home. So the Tigers will
Mhm.
play a few games against Seattle here, with one being tonight, and it's opening
Jackson
day
Job.
home opener coming up this weekend. But yeah, Jackson Jobe making his first start. That'll be cool.
Hmm.
briefly touching back on the Pirates, it couldn't get any more Pirates than when your guy hits a home run and fractures his ankle. Like what the hell? I mean, that's just some of the worst luck ever. I mean, looking at the Tigers game when Glaber hit that home run and he's running around the bases grabbing his side, I was
Yeah.
like, you got to be kidding me.
It's so unfortunate. Yeah, Nick Gonzalez like hits a nice shot, rounding the bases, and you're like, this does not look good. And it was the same thing for
No.
Glaber too. And the Tigers need Glaber. I'm glad that Torkelson got off to a good start for the Tigers, and they can move him back to
Hmm.
first and slide Keith over. But it's just not the type of situation you want to put yourself in early in the season. But I feel like this isn't uncommon to start to see some of these injuries pile up in the first week of action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing playing, in spring training, and obviously as spring training goes on, you ramp up, so you get a little more playing time, you start getting the body used to it again. But it's another thing playing a full 9 inning game most days out of the week, and I think it's going to really eat, like you said earlier in the season, eat up on some guys, and hopefully we don't see too many injuries, but who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely a lot to look forward to. I feel like overall a solid opening weekend, and hopefully, this momentum kind of carries over. A lot of exciting events. Definitely going to be keeping tabs on what they decide to do with the whole bat thing, if it's something that they are going to look to possibly ban, but lots of good action. And I think with that, we're going to take our first break and we're going to hear from Nerf, our first sponsor.
Nerf. Introducing the Mac Attack Real Grip. Home run champ Mark McGwire knows the secret of power hitting is in the grip. The Mac Attack Real Grip. With a huge barrel for better hitting power and the feel of Mark McGwire's real grip. Mac Attack. Mac Attack. Mac Attack. For the power of Mark's real grip.
You want the Mac Attack Real Grip.
Vortex power.
Wow, that Mac Attack Vortex Nerf bat really looks like a doozy. And with that, we'd like to formally introduce JD's special feature segment, inspired by a great mathematician and sponsored by Hawkcoin. Here is Hawking's Stat of the Week.
Thank you, Leo. So this week we have several candidates for Stat of the Week. So we're going to go over a few of them, and many of these came from opening day, and we have a few records as well. So that's kind of cool. So first we'll start off with Stephen Hawking's very own Tyler O'Neill, who had his 6th straight opening day home run, which is an MLB record. So shout out to Tyler and his muscles. We're going to go from a high to a low with Rafael Devers striking out 12 times in his first 3 games, going 0 for 16. So maybe say some prayers for Kerry Bonds, Joe's team, and Rafi that he gets back on track. We'll go from a low to a high again. Talk about Mackenzie Gore, 13 strikeouts, which is tied for the most in opening day with no walks in at least the last 125 seasons, which is kind of crazy, with 2 other pitchers, one of which is from 1980. I've never heard of him. His name's J.R. Richard.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to J.R.
The former Astro.
And then 1967's Hall of Famer Bob Gibson. So pretty big names there that Mackenzie's with. And then we'll kind of go to this Torpedo franchise. The Yankees hit the record home runs of 9 in a game for their franchise, which is pretty crazy. Storied franchise. And then final little sweetener for my bold prediction, the White Sox opening day starter, who we've never heard of. His name's Sean Burke. He's tied for the 6th fewest career innings pitched for an opening day starter in MLB history with 19 innings pitched. And also that was their first win to open the season since 2014, which I mentioned earlier. And I think I also saw, correct me if I'm wrong on this, where like their starters haven't given up a run yet, which is kind of nuts. So
really,
yeah. And so those are kind of all the stats that I found from the past week, thanks to good old Mr. Hawking. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, I feel like we definitely have to vote on which one is the stat of the week.
I agree.
Kind of make that a thing. Do you have your vote, Joe?
I do have my vote. I'm going to go with Tyler O'Neill's home runs on opening day. I think that is truly impressive to be that consistent every opening day. I know there's spring training before the season, so you start to gear it up, but still being that ready for the last 6 opening days to be able to hit a home run, I think that's my stat of the week.
I think for me, it's got to be Mackenzie Gore. I got to watch some of that performance, and there was some information exchanged in the Little Big Fantasy League group chat. I thought that it was a reactionary move for Kyle to pick up Mackenzie Gore after that start, but he actually picked him up before that start and was credited with like 55 points or something crazy for the day. And just the name drops of J.R. Richard and Bob Gibson, a couple of right-handed legends, for a left-hander to add himself to that slate is pretty darn cool, especially for the Nationals, who have been struggling the last couple of years here.
Yeah, I'd go with either of those. Those are definitely cool. So, I guess break the tie. I don't know, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I mean, I'll just be the bias and say Tyler O'Neill because he's on my team. So, good job, Tyler. Keep pumping iron.
Hell of a start, brother.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see. I mean, I remember seeing like there was like a bottom line, and I don't know what I was watching, but it was like bottom line. It showed like Tyler O'Neill with 5 opening day home runs in a row. Can he get the 6? I'm like, that would be one to just like place a quick bet on.
Yeah,
right?
For real. I mean, like in hindsight, it's like, why didn't I do that?
I'll tell you what, for number 7, I'm putting some money on that.
And he'll won't get it then.
Yeah, I'm gonna break that streak for him.
Yeah, thanks to Joe. Bring that Rafi energy.
Let's talk about Rafi, as now our next segment we focus on which players are standing out for better and for worse in fantasy. Now, the one positive in our league is strikeouts for hitters do not count against you. Thank goodness I'm in another league right now where strikeouts are negative, and I have Jackson Churio in that league as well. So that hasn't been too pretty. He struck out 5 times in the first game. I think he's also had another game of 3 strikeouts, but Rafi Devers, man, what a tough start for him.
I will see your Jackson Churio, and I will raise you Rafi Devers. So after today's game, I did add his stats to what was on his baseball reference page. So I'm just going to break down a couple of things here. So to start off the season, he is now 0 for 19. Pretty historic, terrible start. And you're thinking, oh, at least he's making productive outs probably in those 19, the 0 for 19. Nope, he's not. 15 strikeouts. 15. So really, there must be some sort of disconnect. I mean, at least he has 4 walks, but he's really not seeing the baseball well. Those 4 walks don't mean anything when you're striking out 15 times. I mean, it's like you're going up there trying to not hit the ball. I think he's extremely in his head right now. Could that be because he's no longer at third base? And Alex Cora made it very clear that he will be the starting DH now instead. Quite possibly. I think he's just super in his head about it. And if this continues, well, I think the Red Sox are going to be in for a much tougher season than if he was at least hitting 200.
Yeah, big time. They need him to go for sure. I mean, he's their power bat. I mean, I feel like he's their leader, right? When you think of the Red Sox, you think of Rafi Devers right now. Um, I feel like he'll figure it out. It's early, but still, yeah, it's frustrating to see.
Yeah, not what you want to see. An interesting note that I saw is that in his age 28 season, David Ortiz became the DH of the Red Sox, and the Red Sox went on to win their first World Series in over 100 years, which was 2004, breaking the curse of the Bambino. Rafi Devers is in his 28 age season at this point, not moving from first to DH, but third to DH, as mentioned before by you guys. And some Red Sox fans are questioning whether he's out of shape or not. And it's the type of thing. I mean, think back to like the heyday of the Tigers, Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder. They were both pretty adamant on like playing the field. And the Tigers were willing to move Miguel Cabrera back to third base once they acquired Prince Fielder. It maybe wasn't the smartest choice for the longevity of both of them, as they both struggled with injuries for Miggy late in his career, for Prince at what should have been the prime of his career, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from a durability standpoint, it might be the right move for the Red Sox, but it is really interesting when you go back and look at the interview where Rafi was like, "I'm the third baseman," and you're looking at Bregman, who's a Gold Glover. I think the Red Sox made the right move in naming Bregman their starting third baseman. You can't take a Gold Glover out of his position. Look at what the Astros have done. They've taken away a Gold Glover from second base, and you got Jose Altuve running around in the outfield looking like he's never caught a fly ball in his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. I agree that, obviously, if you go out and sign a guy like Bregman who does play that Gold Glove defense, you want to keep him at the position he feels most comfortable as, especially when you had Devers playing third, who was known as a terrible defensive third baseman. I mean, he was one of the worst in the league every year at third base, but they kept him there because of his bat.
Yeah.
Now he's a DH and he has no bat. Now he's really providing almost nothing for you. And I know it's still early on. He's had like 20 plate appearances, but it is definitely something to keep an eye on for sure, especially as JD mentioned, he is part of Kerry Bonds.
I feel like Christian Campbell's also a little piece of this because he's playing second, and like there were talks that Bregman could go and play second,
Right.
but he's there, and they probably wanted Bregman at third already just because of his defense, like we've been saying. So I don't know. I feel like he's already showing that he could be a Rookie of the Year candidate with the way he's playing. So it's like it's hard to take him out and then to work with Devers. You got Casas at first, so it's like, do you try him at first? Is that even an idea? Do you give him some days at third or some days at, I don't know. But
I just don't
maybe,
see it
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. But Campbell does look really good early on. I saw Justice was the one who took him in the stash draft. I'm kind of waiting for him to call him up to his roster. I mean, that's the type of player that I want on my roster right now. He's got that big league swing and he's got that big league look to him already. So I don't know if we Did we mention him as a Rookie of the Year candidate in episode 1? I don't know if
No.
anybody mentioned him, but he might be the early favorite. I mean, obviously, with all of this, take it with a grain of salt. It's very early, but I like what I'm seeing from Kristian Campbell. And there's other guys picking up the slack for the Red Sox too. Wilyer Abreu, he had a nice multi-home run game. I think he's hit 3 now already. He's on free agents in our league right now. That's the type of player that you could see picked up. I think he's only 25 years old.
Yeah. Speaking of two other hot players, Aaron Judge. Right off the bat, you knew he was going to be swinging it, and he is swinging it good. He's hitting 545 right now with 4 tanks and 11 RBIs, tearing the absolute cover off the ball. You knew it was going to happen. Judge is one of the best pure hitters in baseball, and he will continue to be until he retires from the game. The other guy that I picked up was Spencer Torkelson. He had the phenomenal game one for the Tigers, 4 walks, and in his one AB, an absolute moonshot of a home run. Out here quick. Game two picks up another couple hits. He's looking good to start off the season. I think as a Tigers fan, it's really refreshing to see that, considering he had such a poor year last year, getting sent down to the minors. I'd really like to see him stay up and be a big provider and a big right-handed bat for this team.
Yeah, Tork looks locked in. Judge was a good April away from breaking his home run record last year, and so if he can keep this up, who's telling where he'll go this year with that. So
Well,
Leo's riding high right now.
I
Yeah.
honestly am kind of astounded. He was so good for me last year. Obviously, like him and Witt were my top players, and to see him kind of pick up right where he left off, like it's not surprising, but man, that the 3 home run game plus the extra double in there as well, which was almost a home run. He almost hit 4. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Judge early on now. I'll have to return the compliment to you here, JD. Tyler Soderstrom was a really nice pickup for you. He's 23 years old. He hasn't played a full big league season, but I think he has lost that rookie eligibility. But he's hitting 467, 500 on base percentage. He's hit 3 home runs, 4 RBIs. We didn't really talk about the A's a whole lot when we were featuring opening weekend, but this is a really nice piece to add as a first baseman, left-handed hitter, and it's an A's team that might be carrying some momentum now that they got out of the Oco Coliseum.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how he plays in not like a regular like a minor league ballpark on top of like that whole series was against the Mariners who were great pitchers and in that park. So that was impressive. It was honestly down between him and Manzardo though, but I'll bring Manzardo up too because he looked good against the Royals. As we talked about kind of the Josh Naylor, the curse of Josh Naylor. So far it's going okay for the Guardians in that respect, but um yeah, we'll see how Soderstrom does, see if he continues this, but he seemed to have a little bit higher of a ceiling um compared to Manzardo, but they seem pretty close. So um also Manzardo also on the a free agent, so
Good
Yeah,
names
and
out there.
lastly,
Yep.
lastly, since you guys brought up, two good ones, I got to bring it back down with a bad one. As we're speaking, the Texas Rangers are playing the Cincinnati Reds with a score of 14-1, Cincinnati leading. You're asking, man, how did that happen? Who started that game? Gosh. Mr. Kumar Rocker getting his first start of the year. He went 3 innings, 74 pitches, 6 earned runs with 2 walks and 3 Ks. Not a great start to his young
oh
career.
no.
Not good at all. Good thing he's
No.
stashed away on Walt's stash currently right now. He is not on an active roster because that would be some serious negative points right there.
Yeah, I was flipping through the games here real quick, and I saw that lopsided score. I mean, it was like 9-0 within the first 4 innings, and I was like, man, what happened? And It quickly
Yeah.
quickly broke open for him. So not good to see, but it's his first start of his career, probably some nerves going out there. So let's hope he can turn it around.
Yeah. I do have one random question. I can't remember how do we determine like the who gets like claims on waivers and stuff? Like how's that
I
determined?
believe it resets every week. You might have to
Yeah.
defer to the main league commissioner, John, on that. But I believe the waiver claim, it's it initially starts off as like a reverse order of the
Yeah, I was gonna
standings or
say,
something like that.
I feel like it's something to do with like weekly performance. So if you're like a top scoring team and you win, like
Mm-hmm.
you get like the lowest claim, and then it works out that way somehow. But I'm not 100% sure
Okay.
on that.
Did you miss out on somebody?
Yeah, you picked him up.
Dude, right when Justice dropped Christopher Sanchez, my paws went right into the fantasy app and picked him up. And I dropped Spencer Arrighetti, which didn't look like a great move because he had a really nice start for Houston. But man, when I saw Christopher Sanchez dropped, I know that he started the fourth game for the Phillies, but he's really their number three. He's a nice lefty. He might be one of the best
Yeah.
lefties in the National League. Ended up having a nice first start. And Joe, I know you mentioned
Yeah, I
Kumar
was like
Rocker.
shocked. I'm like, wait, what? Like I
Yeah,
did like what?
yeah, waiver order was
But
weird. But yeah, Joe,
yeah,
I know you mentioned Kumar Rocker. His teammate Jack Leiter looked nice. He had a good first start. I mean, that's the type of
yeah.
guy that could have a nice like breakout year. But let's transition right into some comeback candidates. One from each of our fantasy teams, and we'll drop Carter a plug later as well. But let's carry the momentum as well from Rangers starting pitchers. Leiter looked good. Rocker did not look good, but Jacob deGrom, I picked him off of waivers last year, stashed him on my injured list, and he could be a sleeper to win Cy Young, as we talked about in the first episode. I mean, he's at the end of the day, he's still Jacob deGrom. He's got to stay healthy, but a really nice start for him. 5 scoreless innings, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts. I think they're gonna maybe limit his innings early on, and there's a chance too that they skip a start for him or give him a couple extra days before throwing him again. But honestly, DeGrom looking pretty solid in his first start of the year.
Yeah, if you're a Rangers fan, nothing's making you happier than seeing DeGrom go out there and hurl the ball. The only thing with DeGrom is I think cautious optimism. Like you had mentioned, the injuries. He's been hit with the injury bug plenty in his career, so you just got to hope he stays healthy. But if he does, he's going to be one of the best pitchers in the game, no doubt.
Mhm.
Definitely. Okay, Joe, comeback season candidate. I don't think he's going to be in contention to win comeback player of the year because he didn't have an injury, but Austin Riley had a down year last season and he's looking for a bounce back.
Yeah, Austin Riley last year um, definitely did not have the season he was looking for. He looked really average out there, um, and I think that hurt the Braves. He's a really integral part of this Braves lineup, especially with Acuna battling injuries last year. He did not really step up like he needed to, and this year he's off to a bit of a slow start. He had a home run in the first game, but other than that, he has not done too much with the bat. He's hitting 143 right now, like I said, with that one home run and a one RBI, but it's early in the season. I think he can definitely turn it around. I think he's a great hitter. Um, and I think he'll figure it out hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if you get him off the trade block or not, depending on his play. But
That is true. That is true.
It's
Hey,
yeah,
Devers might be going up there if he goes, 0 for 30.
it's like third
well,
baseman
give me a
galore.
call.
Yeah. I mean, Austin Riley though, it's really boom or bust for him too. Like you look at his history, he hit 30 plus home runs 3 seasons in a row, has the down year, and I feel like you just expect him to come back and have a better season, but all too often I feel like we see guys will have 3, 4 good years. They'll have that one down year, and sometimes you can never recover from that. So it'll be interesting to keep up with Riley. He's 27 years old. I think, prime is considered between 27 to 32, I would say at the very latest. So he's
Yep.
kind of right in that prime range. He's got a big contract. He's got a 10-year, $212 million contract signed through 2032. So he's locked up for quite some time, and I'd like to see him have a nice comeback year.
Definitely agree. Definitely need it.
JD comeback season potential player Merrill Kelly had a nice first start. Maybe not from a fantasy standpoint. 5 1/3 innings, only gave up a run, but only had a strikeout. He's on a good Diamondbacks team that I think is going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, Merrill's kind of like one of those stable guys that I feel like, you can kind of just slot him in, and he'll give you those 5, 6 innings. I mean, he's very much like a quality start kind of pitcher, to me in my eyes. And it was tough. He was out for like a good few months last season, so hopefully he can stay in that lineup and, help the D-backs, compete for a division, especially against the Dodgers. I'd also throw Nick Pivetta in there. I mean, he had some okay seasons with the Red Sox, but now he's with the Padres, and that's kind of a different park, change of scenery. Be interested to see how he does. He had a really good start against the Braves as well. So yeah, there's a couple of pitchers there that you could see make somewhat of a comeback, but
Yeah, for sure. And let's throw a plug in for Carter here. He's not with us today. Definitely missing him on the podcast, but Sandy Alcantara, he was picked off of free agents. I tried to grab him. Carter beat me to it, and he looked really nice his first outing. Looked filthy, throwing that two-seamer with crazy cutting action on it. 4 2/3 innings in his first start with 7 strikeouts and 4 walks. I mean, you're looking at a guy who has won the Cy Young, and still, the Marlins are not a great team, as we've mentioned in previous episodes, but he's a top starter. It's a guy that maybe the Marlins could look to flip at the deadline and get several really solid prospects. I think
maybe
they're
to the
gonna limit.
Orioles.
That'd be cool. I think they're gonna limit his usage a bit, but he looked solid. He looked solid.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that flies under the radar in terms of a lot of big names out there right now. But I think people do forget like you said, he did win that Cy Young. He can be an extremely filthy pitcher. So it's good to see him have a good first start, and hopefully he keeps those strikeouts up. But also speaking of Carter here, real quick, the Rangers Reds game just ended. But I wanted to bring up the prediction by Mr. Carter Rogers. He predicted that
Burger?
Jake Berger would hit 40 home runs, and Mr. Berger hit his first home run tonight. So 1 of 40 down for him.
Alrighty. He had a tough
Attaboy,
start too. He's had a tough start. So hey, good to get the monkey off his
need more
back, I
Bergs.
guess.
Good
Yeah.
to see him hit it. I mean, they still got blown out, but who knows? Maybe they could have
Padding the
a good year
stats.
with Berger. Exactly. Exactly. Garbage time stats here.
Yeah, I guess maybe he's still got it.
I guess he does.
So alrighty. Well, with that, I think we're gonna go ahead and take our second commercial break. When we come back, stay tuned as we rapid fire what to look forward to during this upcoming week. Stay tuned.
It's lunchtime, you're hungry, we know how you feel. Your mouth wants little Caesars, and your wallet wants a deal. 4 slices of deep, deep dish and a soda are for you. Hot and ready for 5 $5. And this is what you do. Bite, bite, sip, sip. That's what makes the combo. Bite, bite, sip, sip. Do the deep, deep dish combo mambo. For lunch.
Pizza.
Tell you what, I am craving one of those Little Caesars deep dish combo mambos right about now. Welcome back to the Little Big Fantasy League podcast. We're about to wrap up the episode right now with a rapid fire section on what to look forward to for this upcoming week. And let's start with JD.
Yeah, I mean, at the top of my list is definitely Corbin Burns. First start with the D-backs. He's going to be going up against those Torpedo Yankees. So we're going to see how that plays out. Got a couple other good series playing out this week. We got Braves, Dodgers, Dodgers, Phillies, Red Sox, Orioles, Brewers, Reds could be interesting. But I'm also looking at Tarek Skubal versus Castillo this week as well as a nice little matchup. So those are a few things that I saw coming up for this week.
How has Burns not started yet for Arizona?
I don't know. It's weird. They slotted him as like their fifth start, and like I don't know. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting. The two that I had for this week, JD briefly touched upon here. So my first one was Skubal, second start of the year. He didn't look super sharp in his debut. I'm looking for him to go out there and shut down these Mariners. And the second one is Reds Brewers. I think that'll be a good series. Good NL Central kind of who's at the top. I predicted the Reds at the beginning of the year. So I'm excited to see how they play against the Brewers, who just got swept by the Yankees.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I've got two as well. It'll be on Friday a rematch of the 2024 AL wildcard matchup with the Royals and Orioles. They both have just solid rosters. I like what I've seen from the Orioles so far. You know I'm high on the Royals with their pitching. I have 3 out of 5 members of their pitching staff on my team. Plus, I love Bobby Witt. And Tigers opening day against the White Sox on Friday. Probable pitcher should be, it's unofficial right now, but it should be Jack Flaherty in line to start that game against the White Sox. I am taking off work and was able to secure some pretty solid tickets. So I am very much so looking forward to being back at Comerica Park for the first time this year.
It's gonna be a good game.
Plus, I mean, the White Sox are one of the most dominant teams right now in the American League Central. So
Yeah, could be a close one. Who knows?
That is true. 2 more wins than the Tigers.
Yeah.
any closing thoughts, gentlemen, reflections, shout outs?
Just an opening day comment. I think it's kind of dumb when they have the players drive in on cars into the stadium, you know, when they do that.
Agreed.
What if it's the Motor City?
I don't like it. I don't know.
You don't like the corporate sponsorships when you see Mikey Matuk pulling up in the all-new Chevy Colorado.
Well, if it's Mikey Matuk, then maybe, but I don't know. It's very cringy.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think it was a good opening weekend for baseball. And I'm excited to see the rest of the season play out.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to shout out Kyle. He's back from Florida, and he's, I think, ripping his first Easter egg tin tonight, Tops 2025. And also another shout out to Orange Ninja Carter for ripping his first Tops 2025 Easter egg tin this past weekend. That was a memorable moment.
Congrats.
But that's going to do it for this week's episode. Be sure to tune in next week as we will look at the Little Big Fantasy League standings for the first time, as our first matchups will be wrapped up by then. And plus, it's must-see TV. Carter Rogers makes his long-awaited return after missing this week's podcast and will take the reins with his special feature segment, Orange's Orioles Outlook, as he provides an update on all of the latest happenings in Baltimore. But in the meantime, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and never stop chasing your little big league dreams.